Welcome to Creating Calm Parenting with Mind, Body, and Spirit. I am Corinne Cayce, your co-host. I'm an integral leadership coach, a mother of two, and a lifelong student of the Edgar Cayce readings. And I am here with my friend and co-host, Arlene.
Hi, Corinne. Hi, everyone. We are so glad to be back here. And again, my name is Dr. Arlene DiJamco. I am a pediatrician, an integrative physician, a cranial osteopath, and a mom of four. We have a huge topic for you today because we've been talking and I've been reflecting for myself as well. Like, why are we here? Why are we here on Earth? There's so much going on. It can make many people feel lost, unsure as to our purpose here. And so we wanted to take a deeper dive into the why. And we decided that we were going to talk about a very big topic today, and that's on reincarnation. Because it's time to address this topic more directly with information from the Cayce readings. And this will be an introduction, but we feel that this knowledge is important and helpful for us to navigate these very difficult and chaotic times right now. So to help us set the tone, Corinne is going to start us off with our opening meditation. And then we're going to dive into why the Cayce readings went into reincarnation, the theory behind reincarnation, some stories about kids that have talked about their past experiences, and how you can bring this information into your lives today in a way that is helpful for you. So we're here not just to share knowledge, but to share it in a way that is constructive and can help us in these very challenging times.
Yes, thank you so much, Arlene. So let's begin with just a few moments of quiet. If you can close your eyes, please do, or just let your attention turn inward. And let's use this mindful moment to do a body scan to bring our attention fully into our bodies. You can begin with bringing your attention down to your feet, your toes. Feel the soles of your feet, the pressure of the earth or floor pressing up against the soles of your feet. Feel each one of your toes. Find your ankles, your shins, your knees, your thighs. Find your hips, your waist, your seat. Feel your belly. Find your back body, the straightness of your spine, your low back, your ribs, your shoulder blades, your shoulders. Letting your awareness come back to the front of your body, your chest, your whole torso. Letting your awareness scan down to your shoulders and your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists and your hands. And traveling back up to your throat and your neck, the base of your skull, the back of your skull, your ears, the top of your head, and your face. Taking a moment to feel your whole body, the tingling of your skin, the feeling of the air, the texture of your clothes. And take a breath there. All right. Thank you very much. So we'll begin our conversation on reincarnation today with an excerpt from the Edgar Cayce readings, as we always do. And this comes from reading 3128-1, and it was given for a 48-year-old woman on August 2nd, 1943. And the reading says, "As to appearances in the earth, these have been quite varied. All of these may not be indicated in the present, for as given, each cycle brings to a soul entity to another crossroad or another urge from one or several of its activities in the material plane. But these are chosen with a purpose to indicate to the entity how and why those urges are part of the entity's experience as a unit or as a whole. For as one enters a material sojourn, not by chance, but there is brought into being the continuity of pattern or purpose, and each soul is attracted to those influences that may be visioned from above. Thus, there the turns in the river of life may be viewed. To be sure, there are floods in the life, there are dark days, and there are days of sunshine. But the soul entity stayed in a purpose that is creative, even as this entity may find the haven of peace. All right. So, with that, that's the beginning of a life reading that Edgar Cayce would give, where he was talking about people's past life, particularly those patterns and lives where there is material that may be of benefit to the person in the present life that they were in. So, as we begin talking about this topic, this area of the readings, which is very rich and deep. And as Arlene mentioned, we're just going to be introducing this topic here now. There are volumes and volumes that are pulled from the readings on this topic, and it is wide and very deep. But as Arlene mentioned, we really want to talk about this idea and this theory as it relates to what it feels like to be alive in the world today. And to begin that, I just wanted to give you a sense of why Edgar Cayce started giving readings on reincarnation. This was not intentional on his on his part. He didn't even know or consider reincarnation something that he was interested in his waking life. As some or many of you may know, he was, a Christian man who was very happy in his faith, not, trying to expand his sense of the nature of the universe. But in the 1920s, he was giving primarily health related readings, people who were having health issues that doctors weren't able to cure. And he was giving holistic remedies and insights into their care. And in the 1920s, one gentleman for whom he'd been given readings asked a question on his astrological sign and wanted to know about how astrology related to his life then. And as Edgar Cayce was giving this reading, he started talking about astrology, and then he also started mentioning past incarnations that this person had, other lifetimes that they had lived. And this was the first mention of reincarnation by chance in a reading that Edgar Cayce gave. And when the reading was over, everyone was really flabbergasted and shocked and, kind of standing in awe of that information that had come through. And from there, they began to ask specifically about if people were interested, other lifetimes that they may have lived. And they began to ask about reincarnation as a concept and as an idea, that like how it worked and why it happened and what was going on with it. And we have all of those readings, and we're going to be focusing specifically on one of those readings today, on the theory of reincarnation, and one reading that was given. But I wanted to sort of frame the conversation within that context of, this was information that started just sort of freely coming through Edgar Cayce, that I think Edgar Cayce grappled with in his waking life a lot, in terms of whether he believed in it and what it meant and was it okay to talk about. And I think still today, many people, this is one of these hot button topics of where people either believe it or they don't believe it. And it can be really off-putting and it can write people off of the readings, or it can be absolutely fascinating for them and open all new doorways into what it is that's really going on here and why we're here and what we're here to do and all of that. But so I wanted to frame that within that, and then also to talk a little bit with Arlene about the science of reincarnation that's coming out more and more in terms of people who are remembering past lives and data that's being accumulated and studies that are being done, where we're starting to branch out as science starts to move toward the unseen a little bit. And some of the most powerful stories that we have recorded and that we know about are from children who are having dreams, or even in their waking life, able to kind of remember past lives that they've had.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the simplest stories that I have is from one of my nieces, who told her mom when she was 2. She said to her mom, I think maybe she was pretty verbal, so she might have been younger than 2, but she said, "Oh, mommy, when I was a mommy, we used to sleep under the stars."
Mm.
And my cousin was just also amazed and flabbergasted, because it wasn't a topic that she had ever considered or thought about. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't an interest of hers at all. And when her little one said that, it really made her consider that.
Mm-hmm.
And there are countless stories in the Cayce readings, and also in just around the world of young children who couldn't have known information that they're able to say about. And some of them that have more clear memories. There was one story in our research in the Cayce readings of a boy who was fascinated by airplanes, and he had been in the war previously. But the interesting thing was that he was able to recall names. He knew his name, and he knew the names of his friends that had fallen. And because he had reincarnated like soon enough afterwards, was actually able to meet some of those people that were still alive. And those kinds of things, it's like out of the mouths of babes. I mean, we can call that's data, and data cumulatively it helps us build a science. And so with so many stories like that, it does make us take a look at the topic of reincarnation differently. And many of these kids describe these stories that they say they lived through something that was really difficult, or maybe they died in a really tragic way. And so a lot of them have either nightmares or anxiety over it. But once their story is heard, like once they can get their point across and have someone listen to them, they tend to feel much better.
I know. I was in the process of the time that we've been doing our research around reincarnation into the readings. At lunch the other day, I was reading to my children, who are home for summer right now, that story that Arlene was mentioning of the young boy who was having terrible nightmares, and his parents were very Christian and not open to reincarnation anyway, but the vividness of his nightmares and his memories were inspiring them to research and to open their minds to reincarnation. And it was more and more substantiated. And I was just sort of reading that boy's stories to my kids while we were eating lunch, and they were fascinated and paying super close attention. And after I finished, we were kind of talking about in their own lives things where they have particular anxieties or fears that aren't really connected to experiences that they've had in this lifetime. And we all know each other so well, so it was kind of easy for them to think of places in their life where they are, for my son, for example, like being in water and rough water, things being washed away and taken away since he was so little. That has been something that's really stressful for him. And we were just having a really interesting conversation about like that larger view of like where that could have come from and how to work with it today, and what it means for how to take care of himself, and we can help take care of him to kind of like ease these memories that we may hold, these experiences that are alive in our world, in our experiences today. And I think that's where we would kind of want to move with our conversation, because as Arlene was saying, like there's something for so many people alive right now, whether you're teenagers or children or grown-ups, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of chaos, and feelings of being overwhelmed and confused and afraid about what the future will look like, and how to navigate it, and how to deal with what it feels like to be in the world right now. And thinking about this sort of larger view of the idea of a soul and why we're here and where we came from, not to remove us at all from what it feels like to be alive, but to help give context and meaning and purpose to what it is that we can do, how we can be present, and what we want to do with our time here. It can be really helpful. And I think that's our intention with bringing it forward. And that was certainly Edgar Cayce's always his guiding force with being willing to talk about this, is what is helpful for you right now? What's constructive and helps you find meaning and purpose and a sense of direction moving forward. So with that, we wanted to focus specifically on a reading that is where Gertrude Cayce, Edgar Cayce's wife, and Gladys Davis, his stenographer, were asking Edgar Cayce in his trance reading to kind of talk about the theory behind reincarnation, why it happens, what's going on with it, and the sense that we can make of it as souls alive today. So this is reading 5753-1. It was given on June 16th, 1933. And I wanted to begin our conversation with the question that Gertrude Cayce asked at the beginning. And so she says to Edgar Cayce in his sleep state, "You will give at this time a comprehensive discourse on reincarnation. If the soul returns to the earth through a succession of appearances, you will explain why this is necessary or desirable, and will clarify through explanation the laws governing such returns. And you will answer the questions which will be asked on this subject." So Arlene and I have spent a fair bit of time reading this reading and talking about it, and distilled for you all some key points that we wanted to bring forward based on the response that Edgar Cayce gives to this question posed by Gertrude. So Arlene, start us off with
the first principle to know is what they call first cause, and that is the I am that I am. And the first cause was that the created us would be the companion for the creator. And in the reading it says, "Then a soul, the offspring of a creator, entering into a consciousness that became a manifestation in any plane or sphere of activity, given that free will for its use of those abilities, qualities, conditions in its experience, demonstrates, manifests, shows forth that it reflects in its activity towards that first cause."
So that first cause being I am that I am. Now, what does that mean, right? So that there was a creator or as described in the Edgar Cayce readings, creative energy that is creative, meaning new things are emerging. There's growth, there's development, there's like a positive creative movement of energy that's happening. And through that process, there's these souls that were created, these bundles of profound energy that are meant to be in companionship with that creative energy, to both be able to see and be seen, to know that you are who you are, part of a whole and yet unique. I am that I am is that kind of root urge within the creative energy. That's the first impulse or movement toward creation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we are a part of that. And remembering that is important, because we need to remember where we came from the creator. So we are part of that, and we are meant to be companions. So we also have to know where we are going. Right. And it's really the same. Where we came from and where we're going is the same, because we are meant to be companions for the creator. A suitable companion, meaning pure expressions of that creative energy, which are the fruits of the spirit, and love and kindness and compassion. And if we can remember that in our consciousness, in our thoughts, in our actions, and how we move through life, then we will be one with the creative forces.
Right. So even just focusing for a moment on what it means to be a companion, when you think about what that feels like within you, it basically means, to me, I hear in that, being willing to be in relationship with. So being willing to be in relationship, to recognize that you are connected to everything that's around you and within you. So that like willingness to be connected to and to be in relationship with, to see yourself as part of. When we are connected, right, we are a part of it, so that we are not separate from, in any way, the creative movement of life that is around us. And that's a choice that we have to make, to be willing to see ourselves that way, and trust that that is where we came from, that movement and expression of life is where we came from. Yeah.
And yes, and it's a constant redirection for ourselves, because also in that reading it says, as we may find in the material world, envy, strife, which is anger, resentment, bitterness, selfishness, greediness, avarice, or hate, are the children of man. Long-suffering, kindness, brotherly love, good deeds are the children of the spirit of light. So we are constantly redirecting ourselves back towards that of the creator, what represents the creator, so that we are these suitable companions. Now, there was a line in the readings which I found really important, because it says, because an atom, a matter, a form is changed, does not mean that the essence, the source or the spirit of it has changed, only in its form of manifestation, and not in its relation with the first cause. And that to me was really encouraging, because of all of the craziness that's going on in the world right now. There is a lot of difficulty, and it's really hard to witness that. And this is when I was like contemplating yesterday. I was like, gosh, what are we doing here on Earth with all of this going on? And then reading this line, it says that just because what you're seeing, the manifestation, the form of the atom is changed, doesn't mean the essence of your spirit has changed. And that to me is really comforting, because regardless of what we're going through, what we're seeing, what we're witnessing, these are manifestations, but what is manifested is not who you are. The manifestation of a thing is not the source, is not the creator or itself. It's not you. It's not your essence. It's not your spirit. That is what's constant. Your spirit, your essence, that which is one with the creative forces, that is a constant, eternal. But this that's manifested is transient, and it will change in form. And so we will have those days of darkness, or the floods that it says in the readings, but there will also be sunny days as well. And we have to remember where we came from and where we're going, that we are meant to be companions of the creator, the creative forces, the I am that I am. And those fruits of the spirit, those are the things that are constant. So even the difficulties that are going on right now, at the very least, those are transient. They are not going to last. They're not eternal.
And the process of kind of checking in with that all the time, we're in the excerpt that Arlene was reading, where it was talking about strife, selfishness, greediness, avarice, these being children of man or human things. What that means to me is that those are feelings and emotions that are connected to the material world too. They are often feelings that we can feel, that we do feel when we are trying to navigate our way through all of the suffering and circumstances and things that are happening when we're in a physical world, right? And the choice to reorient toward kindness and forgiveness, generosity, long-suffering, these qualities of more eternal qualities that are creative and generative, you can notice that process within yourself. If you're wondering, like, how do I even believe that there is some part of me that's eternal, that comes from these creative forces, that's meant to be in relationship with it? You can track within yourself when you are living in a place of resentment and blame, and those, notice, is it feeding a sense of there being a possibility for you in your life where you can feel happy and good? Like, are you feeling good? Are you feeling happy? No. If you work for, like, what's one thing that I can feel a little bit of gratitude for right now? Like, what's one bright spot? Not the same thing as ignoring the hard things that are happening at all, but being willing to kind of question, like, what's one thing that I can feel what's an act of kindness that I can take right now? Like, what can I take? Where's humbleness come into this? Where can I say I'm sorry for? There's like something, for me at least, within me that feels like hope at that feels like an energy, that feels like forward movement and generative and emergent, as opposed to feeling myself get smaller and kind of shut down. There's no external source that's going to tell you what's true or what's real. It's like tracking those subtle changes within yourself and being curious about it there. And that process in and of itself, the readings, I think, are directing us toward, that's how we come to know our soul, that there is a soul. There's nothing else that's going to tell us. It's amazing to hear these stories of children who can remember their past lives, to see more and more when people are in a hypnotic state, being able to do these things that they would never be able to do if speak languages and demonstrate things, that can be an external validation of there being more than the physical right now. But really, the more subtle process with that is the curiosity, the introspection that we bring to our own experience, that certainly meditation and prayer and, contemplative inquiry heighten that, but we can do it in a daily way as we notice our own emotions that are arising and how we work with them as we meet all of the circumstances that are arising in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And that brings us to another principle that's mentioned in the readings, is that like begets like. And that's part of the purpose of being on this earth school as earthlings, because in the readings it says the earth is a causation world. For you didn't come here merely by chance. The earth is a causation world. And for in the earth, cause and effect are as the natural law. And as each soul enters this material plane, it is to meet or to give those lessons or truths that others too may gain the more knowledge of the purpose for which each soul enters. And we have to, again, constantly redirect ourselves to understand that like begets like. And so choosing where we can see gratitude, where we can feel gratitude, and not getting overly, I guess, letting our ordinary senses overwhelm us, because that is so easy to happen. And that happens, again, in a material sphere, in a material plane where we have all of these senses. And many times, like if we make our decisions based on our senses, we're missing out on the spiritual dimensions to be able to guide us. And so that's part of the difficulty in the world right now, is that the decisions are being made purely on a material sensory perspective. We need to include these bigger dimensions, these higher dimensions of the spirit, to bring us back to first cause, which is we are meant to be suitable companions of the creative forces, and to bring us back to more love and kindness. And that we are here to learn this over and over again, but also to share it with others. So sometimes it's both. We might feel that we need to learn it for ourselves again, and other times we are here to bring the message to others that need it, to help each other. Because if we're suitable companions for the creative forces, we're also suitable companions for each other, because we are born of the creative forces. We are the offspring of the creative forces. And so we are meant to be helpful, not just for ourselves, but for each other.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the process of reminding ourselves, so this is like how in this whole conversation about reincarnation, will really comes in. So the will, as talked about in the Edgar Cayce readings, is like that muscle that exercises choice all the time. So, and in the idea of like begets like, I think often when we're thinking how that should manifest, it means like, oh, if I'm thinking good thoughts, good things will happen. Really, I think what I hear in the subtlety of the reincarnation conversation in the readings is, it's more like positive and negative attract each other, kind of like magnets. So through this process of learning to be able to be in free flowing relationship with the creative forces, where there's a highly creative, generative, positive experience that's happening, what we're trying to do is like work on these places where there is the rub, where we have been harmed or had scary things happen to us, where there's basically trauma that can be held for lifetime through lifetime, to open, soften, heal that place. And so not getting attached to any idea of a material idea of like begetting, like in the sense like it looks this way, it feels this way, and that means it's going to be good. That it's not, if I'm good, then I'll get good, right, kind of a way of approaching it at all is not the way that it works. It's a much deeper trust of all is working together for good. The river that we're in, the river of energy that is this universe, is moving toward good. And we are a part of that, already good, moving in that direction, always have been, always will be. And we're here there to grow in these certain ways, these opportunities to learn how to love better. The choice that we have to make every moment of being willing to kind of see the world, like trust that the world is that way, that we are that way, that other people are that way. That's the exercising of the will, of choosing that, because there's so much around us that could convince us otherwise, and things happen to us that can convince us of otherwise. And we do things to other people that can make us feel like we are not good enough in some ways. So how we choose to remember that all the time. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. It's like not to get caught in that idea that, well, if I am a good person, then only good things will happen to me.
Yeah.
That's a way oversimplification of the light begets light. It's what you said, Corinne. It's like choosing it over and over again. And this is constantly redirecting the will, because in the readings, it says, it's like, well, what if this happens? And it's like, you choose love. What if it happens again? You choose love. And if it happens again, you still choose love. So you get on that river and you keep going.
Yeah.
And that's the knowing where you came from and where you're going.
Right. And so we wanted to offer here, before at the end of our conversation, just some simple practices to connect the mind that's making that choice, the heart that has to put the energy behind that choice, and our spirit, what it is that we're wanting to remember, the spiritual nature of who we are. So kind of bringing together the physical, the heart, the mind, to kind of help us stay aligned as we just open up to showing up, to being fully present to what it feels like to be in the world today. So some things that we thought of related to this were, one really simple exercise is to use one hand or even both hands, bring the points of your fingers together, gently tap your chest, gently like access that heart space, and touch into something that right now you're feeling gratitude for, that you're grateful for. So like a memory or something that you feel around you, or something that you're looking forward to, or something that like acts, something very simple that you're feeling gratitude for, and letting that feeling wash over you as you gently tap your chest Or another one would be to roll your shoulders back 3 times, forward 3 times, slowly and as deeply as comfortable for you. And just invite yourself to be deeply present. So much of our time is spent thinking about how to fix something, thinking about how to respond to something, thinking about all the things that we did wrong or all the things that other people did wrong. We're just like not needing to fix anything, not needing to do anything. Here's what it feels like to be in my body right now as you move your shoulders, as you notice the emotions that are moving without needing to shift or change them at all.
That's beautiful, Corinne. There's one simple exercise that I came across too, and it has to do with this idea, like if you think about the fish in the ocean looking for water, that's us too, because we're looking for life and we are born of the creative forces. So this life energy is everywhere. The creative forces are everywhere. And it's remembering where we came from. So if you place your hands on either side of you, the left palm would be up, the right palm would be down. And you allow and accept through your left palm that you're allowing these creative forces to move through you and accepting them. And then through your right palm, you're then like allowing those blessings to go back out, to express from you. So the creative energies are constantly flowing through you. And you might notice when you do this, even minutes, if you just do this for minutes, but once you place your awareness, your will, your mind on it, and you say, I accept these creative forces to move through me. And I am an expression of the creative forces, the I am that I am. You might feel like your palms start to tingle because you're literally waking up these creative forces that are within you, but also all around you. And so that helps us feel more one with the creation, with the creator, their creative forces.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Arlene. I love that one. So this is our introduction to this topic. And I hope that what you see reflected here is not some esoteric conversation too much so at all, but really like how this idea plays out in our lives right now and can be applicable and relevant and help us navigate with our families and our children what it feels like to be alive in the world. So we'll continue exploring this more deeply and from different directions as we move on. But thank you so much, Arlene, for jumping into this great sea of reincarnation with me as found in the Edgar Cayce readings. It's such a deep dive and a joy to do this with you always.
Thank you, Corinne. It's so helpful to do this regularly with you. And thanks everyone for being here with us.